I've had to sneak out of the house today to record because I don't want Lambpup and Bosco to hear what I have to say, because I've come up with the best trick to get them to eat all of their meals without any arguments as quickly as possible, without any kind of hassle. It seems to have worked every night. We've had a whole week of no issues around meal times, no issues around getting them to finish, just no problems at all, and it's been brilliant. I got the idea from my boss because he said to us in a taxi, pick a number between 1 and 10. I'd pick a number, and then he'd ask my colleague to pick a number between 1 and 10, and every time he told my colleague that he'd lost. So whether my colleague said a number that was higher, a number that was lower, a number that was the same, no matter what he said, he obviously lost, because the trick was that he couldn't win. And every time my boss would say to him, right, you're gonna have to pay for the taxi, sorry mate. And my colleague just couldn't get his head around why he kept losing the game, and he kept just looking at us like, I don't get it. And he claims he gets it, but when he explains it, he doesn't explain it the obvious way, that there just is no way to win and the boss is just making him pay for the taxi. But I think that wouldn't work on everyone. What I've been doing with the kids is I've been saying to them, right, I'm going to count to 10. Whoever finishes their dinner first wins. Whoever is still eating loses. But if you're both finished, then you both win. And they look at each other and they start eating. And I go, what? And I'm like, as long as I can possibly string out the word one for, I will. And then that bit, I either carry on counting, depending on what mood they're in, or I just let myself get distracted. I start talking to Boo Boo. I start talking to Mrs. Sheepdog. I just start eating my dinner, whatever. And then I'm like, sometimes with Lambpup, I'll just randomly go like 7. And she's like, well, hang on a minute, you were just on 2. And I'll say, I was counting in my head. And she'll go, no, that's not fair. So I go, right, okay, I'll go back to 2 and I'll count from there. And they're really, really strict in particular about the rules of the game and making sure I don't skip numbers and making sure that I count fairly. And if I say 5 quicker than I said 4, if I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, they go, no, start again. But the beauty is, whilst I'm cheating and counting really slow and skipping numbers and being told to go back and giving them more time, they're sat there eating their dinner at a slightly more normal pace than kids normally eat, and they get through everything. We got to like 8 seconds and Lambpup had finished everything, and I'm going to Bosco, come on, you've got 2 seconds to eat everything left and then you don't lose. And he's frantically trying to get, not to like indigestion levels, but he's frantically trying to clear his plate, and he's nearly finished. And I'm saying to Lambpup, you have left a bit of onion on your plate. If you eat that, then you've definitely won. You can't claim that you haven't eaten as much as him. So she's quickly trying to eat stuff she said she doesn't like or doesn't want, and she's eating it. And when they're finished, they're like, yeah, we beat you again. And I'm thinking, yeah, you did. Great, brilliant. Okay, you get to watch whatever program we were going to watch, or you get to sit upstairs and watch stuff on your telly in your room, or, whatever the thing is. But I'm just like, yeah, you beat me again, guilty. And it has just been a dream. It's been fantastic. So I've got 2 tricks there. One, to get all your taxes paid for, and one, to get your kids to eat all of their dinner. Now, I do trick them quite a lot. I am a bit mean. When Lambpup was younger, I got her a clock in her room because she wanted an alarm clock, and sometimes she'd go to bed and she'd say, it's only 6:30, and I'd say, well, no, I know you think the clock says 6:38, but it's actually 8:36. Sometimes it goes into American mode, and in America they do the time backwards, and she'd be like, oh, okay, it's 8:30, so I've stayed up an hour later. And I'm like, yeah, you've stayed up an hour later. I wouldn't send you to bed an hour early. And she's like, oh, okay, and she just goes to sleep. But she's too old for that now. She can definitely tell the time, and she knows that was a trick. Another thing, when we're streaming stuff on the likes of Netflix, if I'm watching something on Sky Go or whatever, I had them convinced for ages that if you're too noisy, it affects the speed of the internet. I think I'd found something that mentions that like noise disturbance does affect, but that means like vibrations or, sound waves or microwaves or just waves will affect your internet. But I convinced them that it meant sound waves, and if they were too noisy, they'd be jumping around and suddenly Netflix would start juttering or pause or something. And I'd be like, oh, oh, that's because you're being noisy. That's because you're making too much noise. You need to sit quietly and watch. Otherwise, it's not going to work. You know, I'd be sort of like slowing it down myself just to say to him, oh, see, it's because you've been too loud. And that worked wonders. I've not done that for a little while. I might have to bring that back and see if that works. It won't work on Lambpup anymore, but I think it'll work on Bosco and keep him sitting still. I think a lot of my stuff helps because the kids are so competitive with one another. So we'll be sat there and I'll be like, right, it's bedtime now. You need to go to bed. And they'll both be like, oh, no, I don't want to go to bed. Oh, when this ends, oh, I want to stay up another half an hour. And I'll just say every time now this works for them, I'll go, last one up loses, or, you know, last one up's a rotten egg. And Bosco bolts for the door, and Lambpup looks at me like, I hate it when you do this. And then I'm like, well, you're going to lose if you don't get it. And she then jumps over the sofa and runs off after him. And then I hear them squabbling on the stairs, and then they both get up. And then whichever one made it first is like, ha ha, you lose, and all this. And I'm like, you haven't brushed your teeth yet? You know, that's the next one. Whoever brushes their teeth last. And by the time they've got ready for bed in breakneck speed, they're both in their room gloating to one another that one's won and one's not won and all this. And like and they never seem to pick up on the fact that I'm the only winner here. The house always wins. They've just gone to bed on time. I think Lambpup kind of gets it, but she hates losing to Bosco. She hates him gloating that he won. Even when she knows I'm only doing it to make him go to bed, she's like, I still don't want him to win. So I'm looking forward to Boo Boo getting involved and forcing them both to get involved because they both don't want to lose to the baby. It'd be great. I need more of these tips. I was desperately trying to think of other things. I'd remembered those 4, but all the other stuff I do, I have Santa saved on my phone. And I text Santa all the time, and then I can obviously then see what he replies on my phone, and it's just me texting myself. And the day they figure that out, I'm going to be devastated because at the moment, you know, Santa's too busy for me to be picking up the phone to him every 5 minutes. But if they're messing around and it's the middle of June, I can be like, oh, text from Santa says here, if you're not going to behave, you're not going to get whatever presents at Christmas, you know, he's going to come to you last, whatever. And I show him the text because Lambpup can read, so she can confirm to Bosco that there's definitely a text there. And that's just been brilliant. But at some point she's just going to be like, I don't believe you. I always tell Bosco that the Tooth Fairy needs some notice. If he comes down to us and tells us that a tooth has fallen out, I need to be able to give her a call and say, you know, add us to your list tonight. Bosco's lost a tooth, because he's the sort of kid that will just stick it under his pillow thinking, it'll be fine, they'll know. And Lambpup nearly caught us out like that before. We'd be talking to her and we'd notice she had a hole in her mouth, and we'd be like, what, like, why is there a bit of blood on your mouth? Why is there a tooth missing? And she'd go, oh, my tooth was wobbly, it fell out. And we'd be like, the Tooth Fairy hasn't had a chance to go to a cash machine. And then I'll be driving round deep in trying to find a blooming cash machine so I can get change from the local spa that's open all hours, just so I can, you know, basically cover the Tooth Fairy, because the Tooth Fairy is too short notice. But so far Bosco's followed the rules. I've told him that if he doesn't tell us with enough notice, she won't be able to sort him in time, so I have to wait till the next day. And he's so impatient that he doesn't want to wait till the next day. And so yeah, he's been really good. The system works. If he said he'd lost a tooth like now, I'd say, right, I'm sorry mate, like, you're gonna have to wait because it's just too short notice. I don't, on a Saturday night, I don't know, maybe the spa, but either way, he'd have to, if it got late enough, we'd just be like, sorry buddy, and he'd accept it. He wouldn't be upset. I think he'd be quite upset otherwise. But yeah, I want to know, give me your tips. What do you say? I know I've heard the one about telling kids that the ice cream truck is empty when the music plays and stuff like that. I think Lambpup has seen that invisibility trick video, but I feel like Bosco would fall for it. But I also don't want to devastate him. I feel like I've considered doing it. I don't think we could pull it off, but I think it would devastate Bosco if he thought he'd disappeared forever. That, or he'd start running around the house slapping everyone, which I just wouldn't want to happen. So I'm not going to try that on him. But I'd love to find some other things. I think the organic ones that come naturally feel better. They usually see through it if I just come out with something random that's clearly a joke. It has to just be, I've had an idea, let's play this game. Oh, but you've beaten me, I've lost. But yeah, we'll see. But yeah, anyway, as I say, comment your ideas, subscribe, like the video, all that stuff. hopefully my next videos won't have to be in secret. I miss sitting at the desk. I've got all my setup there now. I'm this close to getting a new light sorted for the dining room, and then I will actually be comfortable in there to just start recording at the drop of a hat. Next step is to try and convert the garage, and then see what happens from there. But thanks for watching, give me your support, and I'll see you tomorrow.